Konnichiwa. Welcome, everyone, to another Office Samurai webinar. We thought you might be tired of AI hype and ready for some AI action. So we wanted to present to you what's going on the agentic front in UiPath, which happens to be our favorite RPA platform. Now, I must say, when UiPath announced late last year, they are going to have their own agents, I kind of thought, well, boohoo, everybody has agents now, right? This time next year, your fridge will be agentic. So I was not that thrilled. But a few weeks ago, when Office Samurai was chosen as one of the few partners who got early access to those tools, we did put some of our smartest people to the task of learning it and trying it out. And honestly, I am really pleasantly surprised. From my perspective, the way this has been designed and integrated with other parts of the platform is really neat. And I do feel it brings us great opportunities to expand our automation programs even further. So today, we're diving deep into the world of UiPath agentic technologies. We're talking about this philosophy of automation where AI agents think, bringing human-like reasoning to the table. Robots and integrations do. They execute tasks with that binary precision, and the people lead and make final decisions because, someone's got to be the adult in the room. I will not be the one telling you about it, though. We have two speakers today. We have Marko Koskinen, Senior Sales Engineer at UiPath, and Dagmara Romanek, Senior Automation Consultant at Office Samurai. I am Andrzej Kinastowski, one of the founders of Office Samurai. My job today is just to guide you through all of this awesomeness. To moderate the Q&A session, please feel free to post all your questions in the Q&A section during the presentations. We will have time at the end of the webinar to grill both our speakers. And third thing is I will try to sprinkle everything with a few dry jokes. So first up, Marko. He has already been with UiPath for 2 years. Before that, he spent a crazy amount of time at Tequila Technologies. From there, he brought his experience as a senior solutions architect and senior software engineer. Marko will cover how UiPath's platform evolved to produce those AI agents and why they're a leap forward for intelligent enterprise automation. So basically, he will set the stage for what's possible. Marko, welcome, and over to you.
Thank you. Let me just quickly share my screen to get things started. Sharing hiding controls. Awesome. Okay. Hopefully you're able to see the screen now.
Yes.
And today we will be talking about agentic automation. And as mentioned, I think it makes sense to also look in the past a bit just to understand the context on how we got to the point where we are able to talk about agentic automation. And some of my slides are a bit forward-looking, so exact release dates might shift a bit. So I need to have this safe harbor slide here just in case. But if you think about the current year, 2025, and if you look back in time for about 7 years, the offering portfolio we had, it was much simpler. We had pretty much free products. We had Studio for building robotic automations. We had Orchestrator for orchestrating those and robots for executing them. But a lot of activities have happened in the past 7 years, both through our own R&D efforts and through company acquisitions, which means that the capabilities of the platform has evolved. We have added things like computer vision, where we are able to understand what's actually happening on the screen, which allows us to automate even in situations where we are operating in restricted environments and not able to touch the interface in a native manner. We have also added API automation and made it easy for developers to use that through integration services. We have also added capabilities to build actual web interfaces by using our platform that can be used to interact with backend automations or just to refresh old legacy interfaces without having to touch the actual source application. We have added orchestration capabilities. Orchestration in this sense means that the robots were made able to reach out to humans to ask for guidance in situations where they were unsure on how to continue, for example, with machine learning model prediction results. We have added the governance capabilities also for these Gen AI features, and we have added cloud deployment options. We have added discovery capabilities. We have provided essentially different lenses through which we can look into an organization and observe how processes work, how people work, and how communications flow. We have also built analytics into the product to allow us to generate both business and technical KPI reports. And we have added testing capabilities. And when I say testing, I mean testing RPA automations to ensure that they keep working in an expected manner, and also to test the actual applications that the robots are running. We have also added intelligent document processing capabilities. So we are able to process structured and semi-structured documents, so things like forms and passports and invoices. And nowadays we are also able to process unstructured documents like policies and contracts. And in the last 2 years, a thing called Gen AI has been on pretty much everybody's lips. And our first approach for this was to create Gen AI building blocks that could be used in building automations. So we could give the robot a sense of brains and allow it to reach out to different models, either hosted by us or by companies running them themselves. And all of this has led to the place where we are able to talk about things like agentic automation and autopilot and large action. And if we distill this particular slide into one image, this is it. This is our platform in its current form. We have discovery capabilities, which, as I mentioned, we can use to look into an organization to gain a holistic understanding on what's actually happening with the processes, tasks, and communications flowing in and out. When we find automation candidates or process improvement opportunities from there, the automations can be built by using the tools in the automate layer. We are able to, as mentioned, automate UIs and APIs. We can do it in a low-code manner. We can use these Gen AI building blocks and also process documents. And the tools in the operate layer give us the necessary means to ensure that everything is working correctly. We can generate the necessary reports from a business and technical standpoint and ensure that the automation environment fits in your IT policy guidelines. And everything on those two first slides, that has been our Act 1. That has been the first 10 years. And I'm not going to repeat the bullet points you see on the screen. Essentially, that has allowed us to create the #1 end-to-end business automation platform. So we have been able to move from the traditional RPA task automation to an end-to-end automation scene. And now for Act 2. Act 2, it's the era of agentic automation. And that's going to be my presentation's content for the next slides. And I'm going to keep it on a high level. Dagmara will give you practical examples on how this works in practice. But everything we are building in Act 2, it's based on the foundation we created in Act 1. So the foundation of the security and governance features we have baked into the platform, the ability to integrate two different data sources and API integrations, it means that we are able to automate pretty much any applications that are being used. We have added AI trust layer, we have added context counting, we have added models that make it possible to use it in a secure manner. And we have these low-code building options as well. And on top of this foundation, we have the activities that we can use to create agents or traditional RPAs or for processing documents. So it's like a Swiss Army knife on what we want to do. So that's the smallest building block. Using these building blocks, we are able to start connecting the dots. We are able to create workflows, either agentic or robotic. And we are able to still keep humans in the loop in situations where we want the agent or the robot to escalate to them. And we have also included agentic testing. When we are building an agent, we are able to create test sets and validation cases to ensure that the quality of an agent can be measured and thus improved. And taking one step further back, we have processes. And with processes, we mean that we are orchestrating the activities done by agents, people, and robots, and taking the business processes modeled in BPMN, things like purchase to pay or order to cash, and linking those activities with activities that take place within our platform and getting intelligence out of that. And this is the future of automation as we see it. If we think about the human brain, even though this picture is not anatomically correct, we all need both sides of our brain, but the left brain is typically thought to be more structured and logical, whereas the right brain is thought to be more creative and intuitive. The same applies to the division of work between robots and agents. So robots are rule-based. They are best for tasks that require high reliability and efficiency. And this is well suited for business applications where we have strict rules and processes need to be done in a very specific manner. And that's not going anywhere. But agents, on the other hand, are best suited for those tasks that are not that well defined, that require high adaptability. And agents are well suited for these because they are essentially goal-based. They are given a goal and a collection of tools. And with those definitions, they work backward from the goal and try to figure out the way to get there. But if we think about how robots position themselves in this chart, so application reliability versus the agent's level of control. Robots are built in a very well-structured manner, meaning that they are deterministic, which means that they are very reliable as well. But they don't have that much control on how they get there to the goal. Agents, on the other hand, are more undeterministic, meaning they have more control on how they get to a specific goal, which means that they are inherently a bit less reliable. And the way we, UiPath, close this gap is through our approach called controlled agency. And this is a collection of tactics and a process that we can use to improve the agent's trustworthiness. So when we are building the agent using our agent builder, we have an interacting prompt experimentation view that we can use to iterate the agent and see how it performs with different sets of input arguments. We can also create dynamic evaluations, so essentially collections of test cases that can be used to generate a numerical value ranging from 0 to 100 that tells us what the agent's quality is. And this is nice. It's essentially like a guiding light. When we are iterating and improving the agents, we are changing the prompt, we are changing the tools, we are changing the context grounding. We can use this to see whether or not the changes we are making have a positive or a negative effect on the overall quality. We also have high quality context grounding. Context grounding, it's our term. It's based on a technology called retrieval augmented generation, which is a way of bringing large amounts of data, company data, available to an agent in a controlled manner. And if we think about the building blocks of an agent, we start off with a natural language prompt, so the box on the left. This is essentially the agent's job description. We are defining what it should do and what's the goal and how it should reach there. And then we can give it context, so in the form of context counting databases. And with these two tools, a prompt combined with company-specific knowledge, we already have a pretty powerful agent in the sense that it can do knowledge work, it can consolidate information from various formats into a specific format, but it cannot touch any system yet. And the way we give this agent the ability to interact with different systems is by giving it tools. And these tools can be integration service activities, they can be other automations that have been built and deployed into an environment, or they can be other agents as well. And if the agent encounters some abnormal situation that it doesn't know how to handle, it can escalate to a human. So this allows the agent to get feedback from a human if it doesn't know how to proceed. And these escalations, after they have been resolved by a human, they can be stored in the agent's memory for future execution. So this means that if we have a case of a false positive, if we take that into account and store that in agent memory, we can avoid that false positive escalation in the future. And if we think about a typical organization, there are typically quite many tools or enterprise applications being used. And if we think about a typical business process, the business process rarely stays within a specific business system. It's typically a messy process. It can touch Salesforce and SAP, and then there can be some Excel manipulation. And as we have multiple systems in an actual process, it means that multiple people typically handle the process data at some. So how do we keep this simple? How do we organize these end-to-end processes? How do we organize the activities done by humans and robots and these agents? And that's where our next offering in this agentic era comes into play, Maestro. Maestro is process-oriented, so it is more of a helicopter view compared to the agentic actionability. So if you think about an agent that we will build in a UiPath environment, that agent could be one of these boxes in this process diagram. And Maestro gives us great visibility into how these individual instances flow throughout the process. So in this particular case, we have an invoice being received, and we could use Maestro to check that particular invoice throughout this process. We also bring monitoring capabilities and process optimization functionalities with Maestro. And if we think about the building blocks of a Maestro process, it's process-oriented. It means that we need to start off with a process diagram. And this can be designed in Maestro if you want, if we follow the industry standard BPMN 2.0 notation, or if you have already modeled your process, we can use that as a starting. The next starting point will be the implementation part, where we link those process blocks with UiPath specific activities. So we can include agentic tasks, we can include standard traditional RPA executions. We can also include human-in-the-loop activities and API. We can also include agents developed in a different platform. So if you are building a LangChain agent, you can bring that into our platform and use the governance we offer for it. And after you have built and deployed your Maestro process, we go to the operation phase, where we have good visibility into what is actually happening within a specific instance of our process execution. We also have retry mechanisms and fault tolerance built into Maestro, because these end-to-end processes can be quite lengthy, sometimes several weeks. We want to preserve the work that has been already done in case something goes wrong. And when we are monitoring the application, we have monitoring capabilities that we can use to go into version-specific detail to see how the execution goes, where the bottlenecks are. We have a heat map that can be used to gain visual information. And for a more holistic understanding, we have optimized capabilities from our process mining, where we can run what-if scenarios. If we would improve the process in a specific way, what would be the effect, and analyze where the bottlenecks are. And depending on what your persona is, the benefits are somewhat different. For automation and AI leaders, we allow the Maestro to act as a canvas that we can use to securely bring AI agents into the processes, also from different silos. So for example, Salesforce, or as mentioned, LangChain or LangGraph. We can also orchestrate these activities. So when we are running an end-to-end process, we have multiple players in the mix in the form of agents, automations, and humans. We can use Maestro as a canvas to orchestrate everything. And we can track them, optimize the performance of these to ensure that we are getting the expected return on investment from these automation initiatives. For process owners, Maestro provides a single tool that can be used in every step of the lifecycle. So we can model, implement, operate, monitor, and optimize the processes using the same tool. We also have execution capabilities there, and we allow these process intelligence tools to be used for continuous improvement for the process, which is relevant for the process. And for IT leaders, having a single tool that can be used as this workflow management engine, it reduces the total cost of ownership because we don't have to have multiple tools to achieve a single goal. We also support bringing in business rules to support these execution flows and guardrails for it. And all of this generates data that can be automatically used within process mining to see what are the benefits and KPIs and how they are developed. And as the last slide, just a quote from a Finnish manufacturing company on how they see Maestro. They especially value the view and collaboration between people, automation, and AI. And that was me showing you slides. And now Dagmara is going to show you the actual product in action. Thank you.
Thank you, Marco. I must say this is the way UiPath is phrasing this connection between generative AI and automations, kind of putting automations in between so that we don't give generative AI direct access to our systems, because all of us who have worked with generative AI, we know that it can be unpredictable and it can be kind of sometimes hard to harness. This is something that I really like. This is something that me personally, I feel that this is way safer a way of thinking about it than just what we see on LinkedIn when people just give an agent access to their desktop and they ask it to do things. That is not the way we would advise doing this. If you do have any questions, just a quick reminder to put them in the Q&A section. We already have some. We're going to be answering them at the end of the webinar. Now, for the implementation side, Dagmara, Senior Automation Consultant at Office Samurai, and a person who was a part of this group of the smartest people I mentioned at the beginning. For the last few weeks, Dagmara, together with the rest of the team, has been in the lab, sleeves rolled up, actually building those AI agents. And she will show you in practice how these agents make decisions, how they work with robots and with humans. And hopefully you will see that building such powerful things is not sorcery. It's just, as with most things, a bit of work. Dagmara has been with Office Samurai for more than 5 years now. She's a senior developer and consultant and a trainer, and she is a force which defies entropy and basically brings order to any chaos within her reach. So she is exactly the right person to tell you about this technology. Dagmara, over to you.
Okay, thank you. I hope you can hear me well. Okay.
Yes.
So I'm sharing you the Maestro, and we use that tool to build the demo process, which is actually open in the second tab. So here on this platform, as Marco explained, we combine AI agents, RPA robots, and people all together to automate the process that is actually the email-based recruitment process. So in purpose in this demo, we present the agentic orchestration. So the whole of the possibilities in one demo process, let's say. So the basic idea of this process is that the candidate applies for an RPA developer position at Office Samurai, our company, by sending an email with their resume attached. So let's think about this process that it is a tedious work for our HR recruiter to review completeness of resumes, aggregates candidates' application, and answering usually some basic questions that are actually covered by our internal policies, standards, or even job description. So the aim of this process is actually to review completeness of CVs, spot if anything is missing there, and ask the candidate to send it via email if there's anything that is missing. For example, I don't know, maybe certificates or some experience or skills. As I said, common case that might be also that candidate has some questions. So we expect that the process will cover also those cases and answer based on our politics and our internal documents and provide the correct answer. Actually, that is only the part of the process, but let's see this part in action. So right now I've got on our mailbox a fresh email from Eric, and he's trying to apply for a RPA developer position. And in the meantime, he has some questions. Is that allowed to bring a dog to the office? And also whether the working hours at Office Samurai. So we expect that the agent notice if anything is missing in the attached CV, and actually in purpose there is something missing there. So I hope we will see that in action. Okay, so let me run it. For the demo purposes, I will do it manually from the studio itself, but this process can be published and triggered in the other ways. For example, once the email is on the mailbox, the process can be triggered automatically. But for the demo purposes, I will run it manually. So let's hope we can see it in action. Okay, we need to wait 1 second to start this process. Maybe I'll hide this one panel, and here there is an execution trial, and we can see right now that the email is being read by the RPA flows actually. And here we've got the first agent. This agent goal is to check whether there is anything suspicious in that mail, but we see that it is all correct with this one. And the process can be performed. So we can see right now that this agent retrieves data from the PDF attachment and trying to summarize it for the next agents. In a second, we will see another 2 agents. Maybe I will say a few words about them, waiting for a progress of this flow running. Resume check agent verifies if CV has included all information required. So we expect that he will spot that something is missing there. And in parallel, answer generator agent is working, and he checks for candidate's question and generates answer accordingly to company's policies. Both parts are then combined, and we will see the second line of this process. Maybe I will hide this panel a little bit. Okay, that is not visible right now. Okay, here we've got another agent that combines those two answers all together and prepare a nice reply to the candidate. It is not sent yet because in purpose, actually, we put a human validation here in place. So in our idea of this process handling, that is required that a recruiter will review those emails before sending them to the candidate. So right now this flow is waiting for me. As an HR recruiter, I will be working in Action Center, and here, maybe I should refresh this one. Assign to myself. And here is an application, a tailored one to our process needs. You can use Action Center and UiPath applications to build, I hope that will work correctly, to build your own applications, other tabs, other colors and functionalities that could be tailored to your needs very specifically. But here in this process, we would like to see, as a HR recruiter, the detail of Eric's resume, which is already structured, and make it easier to review than his attachment and other list of other attachments that may come to our mailbox. And we may see that actually the agent spotted that language level is missing there. On the right side, we can see the last email of Eric, so that actually comes directly from the mailbox. And here at the bottom, we will see the suggested email to candidate that can be sent. I can modify it, but let's take a look what is the response here. Thank you for your message. Yes, you are allowed to bring the dog to the office, but you are responsible for it, and you must ensure that does not cause any damages. Regarding working hours, 7 to 10 a.m. So actually, that is correct answer. And as we predicted, because we knew that this resume is missing language level, so he's asking about sending details about the language. I can provide my name and accept this to be sent. So right now, once I'm back to the agentic recruitment process here, I can see that it goes further. So the reply is being sent to Eric. And since the data are incomplete because languages are missing, the data are stored in the database, which is actually a data service in this process, and the email is being categorized as incomplete on our mailbox. Let's see it in action. Yes, I've got my reply, and the initial email is being marked as incomplete. So exactly as we expected. Once Eric will reply to it and fulfill the rest of the information, the process should follow this path. And the end of this process is that generate interview questions agents and evaluate profile fit agents. Those agents are responsible to advise a little bit what questions are worth to ask, to address to Eric during the meeting with him. So it is recruiter helper to start the conversation with Eric. And this agent can summarize his profile and skills in the context of requirements of a specific job offer for, of course, further human review. At the end of this process, we've got a pure RPA flow. that stores all the candidates' data on the SharePoint, where HR specialists can review key information, all key information, and maybe I will show it also to you, just to make it easier to review the whole list of candidates and make their own assessments, or maybe to prepare themselves for the interview meetings. Here is the list of the questions, here is the summary, and here are the details about the Eric. Also, the CV attachment is here. I can show it to you. Okay, so all of that is to simplify HR recruiter job. So we saw this process automated, which is using actually unstructured data, email conversations, company policies and regulations, job offer description. All of those are usually hard to deal with once you're having just rule-based flows, I mean robots. So, okay, what are those agents actually that we built in here? As you could show, they can advise, they can decide, they can summarize, compare, extract, answer some questions, they have some knowledge. How is that built? So right now, I'm going to the agent builder module. And here is the detailed way how to build those agents. And Eric actually is being processed by those agents. So what we've got here, in general, we've got the agent name. In the prompt section, we've got a text, let's say verbal rules, pretty much the same as you can say to your new joiner in your team once you are introducing him simple tasks. And this prompt goes to the LLM model, which you can pick somewhere here. What is the big advantage here that allows agents to communicate with the rest of the agentic flow, with the RPA robots and also other agents, is that he has arguments, input and outputs arguments, so variables, and that allows him to communicate with the rest of the flow. What else we can see here? Maybe I will hide it for a second. Yes. When it comes to the context is a knowledge. So here is a place that you can pin those documents, policies, job offer in our case, that the answer generator agent could generate those answers for Eric using our HR-related files, where actually those files are located on in the storage bucket. So here is the knowledge, but okay, but maybe let's think about, I don't know, maybe legal department in your company. Using this context, so the knowledge, you can help yourself analyzing some legal regulations, or once you are sitting in sales department, you can put here some product specifications or descriptions of the tools, and those features as a context makes the agents feasible to work together with you, for you, as a helpful AI assistant, because he has some knowledge, so you can ask him whatever in the context sits, and speed up your processes. When it comes to the tools, that's a really superpower of those agents, because as a tool, you can pick another RPA process, API calls, connectors to applications, also other agents. Here we've got the list of processes available in our orchestrator. Here we've got the list of agents available here for us because we built them before. And in that case, I'm switching to the CV extractor agent. That is also the part of our recruitment process. And here as a tool, we used another RPA flow. So how to understand that? The agent itself is calling RPA tools to help himself to answer and to fulfill the task which is written in the prompt. So coming back to the sales department, if we put some context of your, I don't know, maybe product specification as a knowledge, and use some RPA flows to just read only the data from your applications to help agent to fulfill his tasks, or maybe use those tools as RPA processes that can exactly do something within the system. So maybe filling CRM with client data. The last thing here on this list are escalations. Marco already told you about it, but to highlight this more, we've got at the beginning of the process, we had the FishGuard agent. And I told you that And I told you that he reviewed the email body and he take decision that it is not suspicious at all. We can proceed it further. But when he could spot anything suspicious, he could raise an escalation. And maybe I will show you that in practice. So this escalation is actually also a note in the action center for a human being. That's something that actually the agent is not sure. That is the purpose of escalations. If he is not sure to take decision, he can ask a human being. And agent memory, once we turn it on, helps us and him, the agent itself, to remember the human answer for the future use, to be more independent in the future. Here itself in the agent builder, you can also test already built agents. So once you provide here a simple question, you can test it in practice. What will be the result, and you can correct the prompt if it is not perfect yet. So let's think about your processes that so far were limited somehow to automate them, or to automate them fully, because fully I mean end to end, because maybe you deal with several or a lot of languages. LLM can handle it, and you need to communicate with your customers or vendors. You can right now implement agents there. Or maybe you cannot automate the process because you have a free text there, or unstructured communication, emails, or some descriptions. Also, agents can help you there. In finance, you can think about the agents that they can compare some kind of documents to spot discrepancies according to the system data whenever they are needed. In IT, you can automate most common tickets or requests. Or you can create personal assistants for the business users to limit the number of tickets in IT. Okay, to wrap it up, AI agents and agentic orchestration built via Maestro. It is not to replace an RPA. It empowers RPA, broaden its possibilities to automate your processes. Whenever you struggle with communication, questions, tasks that require some documents, regulation, interpretation of those documents, agents can be your personal assistant, or the whole process can be automated in an unattended mode. So you can have it as a coworker that is more intelligent right now than it could be before. Because we are combining RPA together with AI. And on top of that, we can smoothly involve, as you could see in actions, the human supervision. Actually, maybe last thing from my side, because we didn't cover those personal assistants that I mentioned in a detailed way. If you are interested about this one, you could read about autopilots more, because actually UiPath Autopilot is a type of the agent, of one of the agents already built for you, ready to use. Thank you. That's all from my side right now, and I'm excited to hear your questions.
Thank you. Thank you, Daga. Yeah, Autopilot, we have another lab built around Autopilot. We don't have enough time to show it today, but if you're interested, do let us know, and we'll be happy to show it to you. Yeah, we go to the Q&A. Dagmar, I think we can stop the sharing, and I will see what questions you have. We have quite a few. Let's maybe start with a question from Marcin, asking, Eric's CV was quite simple. How does the agent deal with more complex files that possibly have tables? Dagmara, you want to take that?
Actually pretty well, because we were so curious that we tested our resumes in this flow. I don't want to show you mine, but I can assure you that it works. And actually during our second not webinar, but the presentation, we will be showing this in practice. So maybe Tomasz will organize this event in a way that you could send your resume to test the flow.
Yeah,
of course, we didn't cover the whole list of scenarios, but we tested it on the real cases too.
Yeah, we will have a meetup for those of you who are in Krakow or somewhere nearby. You are welcome to join. We will send the link to the registration in an email after the event. But yeah, if the CV is more complex, usually the model is fine dealing with it, except for maybe cases like if somebody in proficiency puts like empty stars and full stars and stuff like this, then it will probably have problems. So I think it's also for those of you who are in the process of sending out CVs, you know, more and more of those are processed by LLMs. Maybe you don't want to make their job of hiring you harder. Another question I have from Mateusz, within first human in the loop step, where we would respond to candidate, is there a possibility to have also a link to the CV or an original document?
Sure, that there is a bunch of possibilities when it comes to the UiPath applications. The interface and the possibilities are much more than I showed today to you. So it depends, and it could be really tailored to your specific needs. You can run even some automations out of the application, retrieve data from the processes there. So there's a lot. Linked is not an issue at all.
Yeah, the Action Center now has a lot of possibilities for customization for running code. So basically anything that you can put in an interface, you can put in an Action Center.
To be precise, the application, sorry to interrupt, to be precise, the application, you saw Action Center because that is the interface for an application. It is being sent there and handle what is the response from the human, but it is built in UiPath applications.
Yeah, thanks. I think this one will be for Marco. As the agents use GPT-4o, is the data sent to the LLM exposed to OpenAI, or are there options to use local model as per confidentiality requirements?
Yeah, so we will have bring your own model coming. So it is definitely on the roadmap and will be an option for these confidential situations.
Yeah. But if I understand correctly, right now, the models that are used there, they are hosted in the private cloud of UiPath, right?
Yes, they are managed by us, correct.
Yeah, so this anyway doesn't go to OpenAI, but is within the infrastructure of UiPath. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I can cover some of these. I'm not, yeah. So regarding the first one, not sure what the question there really is. There is a lot going on regarding pricing of UiPath Maestro. What are your feelings, thoughts about it? I think in general pricing questions, we are happy to estimate the use. If you have a use case, if you are interested in using Maestro, if you are interested in building agents, it's going to be consumption-based, but hard to say what's the costing going to be because it's going to depend on the use case. More complex agents will have more calls and thus more costs. But we are happy to brainstorm and evaluate this on a use case basis. Then we have.
So anyone who would like more details about the pricing, reach out to Marco or to us, and we'll be happy to go with you because it's consumption based. There's never a straight answer to a question how much it's going to cost to use, right? But we do have another question, but it's about how much it is to build from York. How much time, capacity, and cost will be involved to implement one agent, for instance, for invoice matching? Just a ballpark number would be sufficient. Daga, I know you don't like this kind of questions, but if you would think maybe not about the money, but how many developer hours it could take to implement one of those, can you give us a ballpark number?
To build an agent, minutes. Actually, one of the rules is that let's give them simple tasks, not the whole processes in one agent. So that is why we used actually 8 of them in our recruitment process. So keeping them, so maybe not so simple, but keeping it simple, it takes just, I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 hours to build a really reliable agent. More hours to test it, because you need to dig into the details, to the evaluation set and to traces and check whether he will work in every single case, not only the single one, right? But when it comes to the rest of the process, it is a standard RPA linked together with those agents. So not so many.
Yeah, so that is also my experience, but I think it's a general experience of everyone working with Gen AI tools, is that building something is very fast and kind of simple if you have the right tools. For instance, we have our tool that helps us build good prompts for agents, right? But then to really test it, whether in all the cases it's going to be responding in a reliable way, it's way more work than the build itself, right? So it's kind of the other way around from classical automations. Let's have another one. Maybe when it's better to use Maestro and when AI workflow / orchestration tool like NA10, what advantages does Maestro has? I know that NA10, I don't know how it's pronounced really, but I know it's becoming quite popular. But from my perspective, I feel like if you're going for enterprise solutions, you would go for something like Maestro. If you want to process things at scale, if you want to have all the security, reliability, scalability handled, you would probably go for Maestro. If you want to build something very specific for a very specific use case, and if you do have the skill and the resources to build something more from the ground up, you could think about using tools like NA10, which allow you to build things more from scratch. But our view on it is it's kind of like replacing RPA robots with Selenium scripts, right? It can be done. Some companies do it successfully, but if you want to do things at scale, it's usually not the solution. I don't know, Marco, Dagmara, do you have any other comments on that? Okay, thank you. let's see. Camille asks, what does temperature value mean in the agent test?
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
it's a creativity of the level of freedom for the model. So 0 means it's very deterministic, and 1 means it's very free flowing.
Yeah, and this is like the usual setting for LLM models. We by default set temperature to 0, so we want it to be very specific. Unless we wanted to write us a poem or something, we wanted to set to 0 for the model not to be creative. With most business processes, you don't want your automations to be too creative, right?
And I can add that I didn't show you that. That is one of the settings of the model, as Andrzej said. So you have a full control over it. That is not something that is hidden in the model or something like this. You can set up the temperature directly in the agent.
Yep, thanks. And then another from Michał, what's the relation between Orchestrator and Maestro?
So Maestro is something like the interface to build those processes using BPM and 2.0 modeling, to draw those processes. After that, you can create the RPA flow as you do it on a daily basis in your organization, and those agents, as I show you, both of those publish, and then you can plug and play those elements into those graphical interface, this process map. So once you publish the whole process that I presented you today, it is one of the processes among the processes in the orchestrator. So that is why you can trigger it on various ways you already know, as a time trigger or Q trigger or whatever trigger you want to set it up.
Yeah. And in the end, it is like with all parts of the UiPath platform, everything is integrated with an orchestrator, right? So Maestro you will find in your UiPath cloud, and it interacts with other parts of the orchestrator and other parts of the platform. Okay, we're running out of time, but maybe one more from Nicholas. How much time it took to make this given example?
To create it, I don't know, maybe 1 week, but to test it a little bit more. So the whole time that we spend on it is around 2 or 3 weeks, but we do not spend the whole time of those weeks on specifically on that case. Also, we have some other stuff to do at office, all right? In hours, I don't know, maybe 70 or 100, together with the testing exercise, which was a bit demanding because of the agents and some unexpected errors or maybe not perfect answers in place.
Yeah. So it was not a lot, taking into account that this is a completely new technology and we were learning it as we were going. But to be fair and straight, some of the parts of this we already had developed, like some of the automations and some of the prompts, because we've been doing this example before agents came to UiPath. We've been doing this on our own solution. But I wouldn't expect an automation done with Maestro to take significantly longer than doing an automation of similar size and complexity with classical tools. We have run out of time. There is just one last question I want to answer. Will you share the recording afterwards? Yes, we will send the recording to everyone who registered, so we will be able to have another look at some of the details, or maybe if you want to share it with somebody, please feel free to do it. I would like to thank Marco and Dagmara for sharing their insights. Thank you to Anna Zubal for orchestrating the whole event. And of course, a huge thank you to everyone who joined us. For your questions and for your interest in AI agents. If you are feeling this tingle of possibility, if you have a few ugly processes that are crying out for an agentic intervention, our advice is don't just sit there contemplating the zen of this chaos. Get to work yourself, or if you need assistance, Office Samurai Squad is armed with knowledge, experience, and an unhealthy amount of enthusiasm about those technologies. So don't be shy, get in touch, and let's make it happen. Thank you again, everyone. Until next time, keep your blades sharp, your processes sharper, and your AI assistants away from staging a coup. Matane, see you next time. Cheers.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.